Thank you so much. I appreciate everything you do.
Hello, sir. I believe you're a good man, and I've got a question for you, though.
Let me start by talking about something that's fundamentally important to our democracy is that the President of the United States
What about the
consider
Republic?
all Republicans racist is, in my opinion, ridiculous.
I
Especially
thought
as
the
his own
Republic
vice
was what we were
president
based
said
off
that
of,
he opposed
not democracy.
busing. So to see the kind of comments that come out of this president is just remarkable
Everybody
disappointment
talks
of
about
the
democracy
citizen.
because that's where the
Certainly
corruption
one of the
is.
reasons why we need a new president of the White House. Happy to answer your question.
Senator, Donald Trump is leading with white evangelical voters in South Carolina, 69 to 22%. Why do you think that is?
I think the fact of the matter is that his policies when he was president were without question policies that united the country. Success breeds success. And when you look at the success we had economically from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, we saw the lowest unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanics, Asians. One of the things that we're hearing around the state, you look at the voters, particularly voters of color, 40% of African American men have said without question they have more money. Therefore, they're looking at Donald Trump as a viable option for this November. The Christians, we look at the success that we had during the crisis, the COVID crisis, and one of the things that was successful was that we found a way to help nonprofits and churches stay open so that they could be the first line of defense, and that was a powerful tool brought to us by the Trump years.
Senator, what's your relationship like with Nikki Haley right now?
Well, I mean, I think it's about as it was beforehand, honestly. We didn't talk a lot before then, and we don't talk a lot now. But in the end, I look at the comments coming from the Haley camp and her son, calling me Judas. And the one thing I think about is the importance of remembering that politics sometimes brings out the best of people and the worst in people. And you have to have an attitude of forgiveness if you're going to play this game long term. And frankly, she was a good person before her family made the comments. I think of her as a good person now. I certainly look forward to having her support for Trump in the days coming ahead.
What are you predicting for Saturday?
After the primary on Saturday, that you should step aside for the good of the party?
Well, I think for the good of the country. The bottom line is simply this, that I made the determination myself back in November that America wanted someone who was more forceful, more provocative, and a little bit more rambunctious to help clean out some of the challenges that were stubborn and persistent in our nation. And so many of those challenges we can see today in the policies of the Biden administration, from an open, insecure, unsafe southern border to the challenges that we see economically. The one person that stands in the way of having a conversation between Joe Biden and Donald Trump is Nikki Haley. And so getting out of the way is incredibly important, not for the party, but for America's future.
Senator, immigration, do you support the impeachment of Mayorkas, or what are your thoughts on that?
Certainly, the House had the courage to impeach Mayorkas. The best way to eliminate Mayorkas, however, being the secretary, is to actually fire Joe Biden. The Senate, we have no anticipation or expectation that there will be a successful next step in that process, because we know that the Democrats control the Senate. So if we really want to change the trajectory of the country as it relates to immigration, illegal immigration, we have to do so by having someone, a commander-in-chief, who respects our borders, who wants to close our borders.
Predicting
Does
for
Trump
Saturday.
have to win by on Saturday to prove that Nikki Haley is not a contender?
Well, that's a good question, honestly. Let me think about that. If you won in Iowa, you won in New Hampshire, and you win in South Carolina, every poll going forward says you can't win. I think a win would be sufficient, but I would expect a 20-point plus win in the home state, where she was the governor and a state representative. If that doesn't send a clear message, I'm not sure what does.
Senator, the Alabama Supreme Court ruled that embryos are children. That's raised questions over whether in vitro fertilization can move forward. Is that a stance that you agree with?
Well, I haven't studied the issue, so I'm going to let Nikki Haley continue to go back and forth on that issue. But
Senator,
We have time for two more guys.
Senator Trump has said that you campaigned better for him than you for yourself. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think that the whole concept of James 4:10, which I struggled with on the campaign trail, my campaign, we've had lots of conversations about the importance of how do you exalt yourself and promote yourself while remaining humble. I struggled with that on the campaign trail. Now, having a conversation about the future of America and President Trump being that leader is very easy. There's no internal conversation about when are you doing too much self-promotion. So the truth of the matter is that I am far better encouraging and being excited and motivated for President Trump than I was for myself. So I don't have that internal debate going on.
Senator Donald
last
Trump
question.
repeatedly, Trump likening him having to pay his fine in the New York civil fraud trial to the killing of Alexei Navalny.
Yeah, I think the one thing we can get out of the judgment in New York is that every business person who fears for the future of their business because of the absolute oppressive nature of the courts in New York, they are now considering leaving the state. It is absolutely insane that you would see that kind of judgment coming out of New York.
What about the comparison?
Thank you very much.
Donald Trump has repeatedly asked you as his vice presidential candidate. Do you have anything to say
Have a good
about
day,
that?
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Have fun.